There's a level of discipline so complete, so total, that when people see it, they don't feel inspired, they feel afraid. It's not the discipline of someone white-knuckling their way through another Monday morning, forcing themselves to the gym, battling cravings with sheer willpower. No, this is the discipline of someone who never breaks, never negotiates, never takes a day off. Not because they're superhuman, but because they've crossed a threshold most people never find. Normal discipline is a daily war, you versus you. But this level, there's no war at all, just inevitable action, like breathing, like gravity. And here's the truth. Most people will never watch this video to the end because facing what real discipline actually requires is too uncomfortable. But if you stay, I'll show you what this looks like in real life and how an ordinary man discovered it when he had nothing left to lose. Kenji was 34 years old, an office worker in Tokyo, divorced, 40 pounds overweight, and addicted to alcohol and cigarettes. One Thursday night, he sat alone in his apartment, surrounded by empty bottles, staring at his phone. He'd missed another video call with his daughter, another broken promise. He walked to the bathroom and looked in the mirror, really looked, and barely recognized the man staring back. Kenji knew this pattern by heart. A burst of motivation, 2 weeks of brutal effort, gym every day, no drinking, perfect discipline, then collapse, then shame, then starting over. He'd run this cycle for years. But that night, something shifted. He realized, I don't have a discipline problem, I have a self problem. The person I am cannot create the life I want. That night, Kenji discovered something that would change everything, but not in the way he expected. For years, Kenji had tried everything: extreme diets, brutal workout plans, cold showers at dawn, 5 a.m. wake-ups, all at once, maximum intensity. He believed that if he just pushed hard enough, forced himself to act like a disciplined person, he'd eventually become one. But science tells us why this fails. Willpower is a finite resource. Every decision drains it. Psychologists call it ego depletion. Your brain physically runs out of fuel for self-control. Kenji was trying to act disciplined without becoming disciplined, and there's a massive difference. Intensity versus consistency, performance versus identity, a 30-day transformation versus a 10-year evolution. 95% of people stay stuck here, mistaking exhaustion for progress, wondering why they keep breaking. Then Kenji found a different path, one that felt almost too simple to work. Kenji discovered a Zen Buddhist principle called Gyoji. It means continuous, unbroken practice. Not intense, not perfect, unbreakable. In the West, we worship breakthroughs, the moment you lose 50 pounds, the day you quit smoking, the transformation reveal. Gyoji worships something else, the boring, the repeated, the mundane, the single push-up you do every single day for 10 years. When you practice Gyoji, discipline stops being something you do and becomes something you are. But here's the scariest part. It requires you to die. Not physically, but the version of you who needs motivation, who negotiates with yourself, who takes breaks when it gets hard. That person has to go. And most people would rather stay in pain than face that death. But Gyoji is not just philosophy. It has 3 unbreakable laws. Law 1. The practice must be microscopic. Kenji didn't start with 100 push-ups, he started with 1. Not because it was easy, but because it had to be unbreakable. James Clear's research on atomic habits shows that identity change doesn't come from aspiration, it comes from proof. 1 push-up is proof. Law 2. The practice must be daily without exception. No rest days, no I deserve a break. The practice becomes like breathing. Psychologist Wendy Wood's research on automaticity proves that consistency rewires the brain. It stops questioning, stops negotiating. The action becomes who you are. Law 3. The practice must serve your future self, not your present comfort. Kenji chose practices his future self would thank him for, even when his present self hated them. 1 page of reading, 1 minute of silence, no alcohol, not for motivation, for identity. For the first 30 days, nothing changed, and that's when most people quit. 30 days in, Kenji had kept his practice unbroken. 1 push-up, 1 page, 1 minute of meditation, no alcohol, but nothing had changed. No weight loss, no surge of energy, no transformation feeling. The voice in his head screamed, "This isn't working. You're wasting your time. You should do something bigger." This is the void, the place where effort feels invisible and doubt feels loud. But Kenji remembered something crucial. Gyoji is not about feeling different, it's about being different. Beneath the surface, his brain was rewiring, his identity was updating, his future was bending. He just couldn't see it yet. This is where 90% of people turn back, right before the breakthrough, convinced they're failing when they're actually becoming. And then, on day 47, something cracked open. Day 47. Kenji's co-workers invited him for drinks after work. His old trigger, his old escape. He opened his mouth to say no, and something strange happened. The no didn't require effort, didn't require willpower. It came from a place deeper than decision. And in that moment, he realized, I'm not someone who's trying not to drink. I'm someone who doesn't drink. The old Kenji, the one who needed comfort, who made excuses, who broke promises, was gone. And he didn't mourn him. Researchers like James Clear and B.J. Fogg have proven this. Behavior change is identity change. You don't act your way into a new identity. You prove your way into it, one microscopic choice at a time. The transformation didn't feel like victory. It felt like inevitability, like waking up and realizing you've become someone else. But the real test was still ahead. Month 4. Kenji's daughter got sick. He spent 2 nights in the hospital, overwhelmed, exhausted, running on no sleep. The old Kenji would have collapsed here, skipped the practice, binged on comfort, drowned in shame. But at 2 a.m., in a fluorescent hospital hallway, Kenji did 1 push-up, read 1 page. Not because he felt motivated, not because it mattered in that moment, but because it was who he was now. It wasn't heroic, it was inevitable. Gyoji doesn't bend for circumstances. That's what makes it unbreakable. Most people build discipline that only works when life is calm, when conditions are perfect. Gyoji builds discipline that works when everything is falling apart. 1 year later, Kenji's life looked completely different, but not in the way you'd expect. 1 year in, Kenji was down 40 pounds, no alcohol, no cigarettes. He'd reconciled with his daughter, but the biggest change wasn't physical. It was what his daughter started doing. 1 page of reading before bed, 1 minute of gratitude in the morning. She didn't see a man trying to be better. She saw a man who was better. And children don't copy your words. They copy your identity. Here's the terrifying truth. Your discipline, or lack of it, is teaching the people around you what's possible. Normal discipline inspires for a day. Gyoji-level discipline rewrites bloodlines. Neuroscience backs this up. Mirror neurons and Albert Bandura's social modeling research show we become what we consistently see. Your daughter, your son, your co-workers, your future self. They're all watching. So here's my question for you. You now know the secret. The question is, are you willing to die? Not physically, but the version of you that needs motivation, that negotiates with yourself, that quits when it gets hard. That person has to go. Here's your challenge. Choose one microscopic practice. Not 10, not 5, 1. Something so small you cannot fail. One push-up, one glass of water before coffee, one page of reading, 1 minute of silence. Then comment below with these exact words. My Gyoji is, your practice, starting today, no exceptions. Make it public, make it real. But understand this is not a 30-day challenge. This is not a transformation program. This is an identity shift that takes years, and it starts in the next 60 seconds. Most people will close this video and do nothing. The scariest level of discipline begins when you refuse to be most people. Your Gyoji begins now.